やはりな、ベアトリーチェは実在したんだ。
その姿は
Oh
まさ
my
に
god,
肖
can
像
you
画
shut the f up? You keep interrupting. We're trying to get to the good part of the story, you know, where Rosa, kills someone because she's a piece of shit who would absolutely do something like that. Let's go.
ええ、まさにあの肖像画の通りよ。
お父さんの想像の中の魔女じゃなかったんやな。
それであなたは彼女と何を話したの？彼女はお茶を入れながら私のことをいろいろと聞いたわ。まず森を抜けてやってきたことを、彼女は柵の外には危険な狼がたくさんいると信じていた。だから私が森を抜けてどうやって狼から逃れたのか、それとも魔法の街灯をかぶって。
Yes. Everyone knows that's the trick, alright? You getting hunted by a pack of wolves? Throw them a biscuit. Bruh, it's easy. Listen, if you're going exploring out in the woods, just remember, bring yourself some biscuits. You'll be fine, alright? I mean, from the wolves, alright? That doesn't apply to any other fucking kind of wildlife, alright? Just wolves. If you're dealing with bears, oh, I hope you got more than a biscuit, sir.
なん
Or
て
madam.
感じのことを言ってたっけ？
Ah, the good old cloak of invisibility. Classic.
そりゃ確かに魔女っぽいわ。面白いお人や。
あなた黙って。ずいぶん昔だけど、お父様は森には狼が住んでいるから近寄ってはならないって私たちを
ああ、そんなこともあったな。バカらしいね。日本の狼はとっくの昔に絶滅しているというのに、まさに子供騙しだな。
記憶にねえな、そんな話。親父に聞かされたっけ？森には魔女だろ。狼なんて話聞いたことないぜ。
あんたがまだ小学校だった頃覚えてない？そしたらあんたむしろ狼を撫でてみたいなんて言い出すもんだから。お父様はすぐに狼の話を引っ込めて魔女の話に切り替えたのよ。
Of course, Kinzo's talking to Karai. He's like, don't go into the forest because of the wolves. Karai's like, oh god, yeah, no, I can't go to the wolves. Ava grows up and is like, don't go into the forest because of the wolves. Oh shit, yeah, no, can't fuck with the wolves. That's bad deal. Rudolph grows up and is like, don't go into the forest because of the wolves. Rudolph's like, fuck yeah, I want to pet some wolves. Let's fucking go. Kinzo's just like, shit, no, wait. I love it that Rudolph was just like not intimidated at all. He was just like, yo, I want to pet some fucking wolves. My guy.
もうその嘘っぽいことと言ったら。
当時のルドルフには狼よりも魔女の話の方がてきめんだったね。
There's wolves in the forest. It's like, oh, I want to pet some wolves. I mean, there's a witch in the forest. A woman!
よく覚えているよ。私の背中にしがみついた夜があったことを覚えているかね。
ルドルフさんにもそんな可愛らしい時代があったのね。
うるせえな、子供の頃の話だぜ。
Okay, yeah, this is great. You're all laughing, chuckling, haha. Oh, Rudolph, you were glad you're back. Oh, you wanted to pet the wolves. Hey, we forgetting the part where Rosa killed someone in some way, shape, or form? Can we get back to the story, please?
まあとにかくベアトリーチェを閉じ込めていたのがお父さんなら、同じ狼の話をするのは道理ね。彼にとって六軒島の広大な森は後ろ宮家と愛人の屋敷という相入れない二つの異世界を分断する越えてはなら。
柵の高さを考えると、どうやら親父殿は庭ごと丸々を座敷牢にしたようだ。さながら二つの世界を分ける国境も同然だったのだろう。
狼はともかく野犬の類でもいたのではありませんか？そのための柵だったかもしれません。
六軒島に狼も野犬、その策はベアトリーチェと私たちの間の国境。
しかし狼の話を素直に信じるなんて、わしの想像していた魔女とは随分違う感じやで。
それは私も感じ、とても尊大で、確かに魔女のイメージ通りの人だったんだけど、どこかとても子供っぽくて、なんていうのか素直すぎるというか、世間知らずな印象を受けたわ。例えるなら本当におとぎの国の人みたいというか、本当に不思議な人だったわ。
それからどうしたんだ？親父の話とかは出たのか？
ええ、何日かに一度、約束されている日もあれば、ふらりとお父様が訪れては一緒にお茶を飲んだり散歩したりしたんですって。私が訪れたその日はたまたま彼女一人だったと言っていたわ。
なるほど、まさに愛人と言ってやれやれ。いくつ年下か知らんが、親父殿もやるね。
Hell yeah. Props to Pops for fucking scoring the young boon.
いかがわしい意味での交流はなかったと確信しています。
バカね。男と女の多さに色気がないはずないじゃない。
I mean, listen, obviously, we know where Kinzo's mind was. Like, I get it. Once again, Nazi, my queen, trying to uphold the honor of the name, but it's like, nah. Kinzo was trying to get him some. Absolutely. But even if, like, it wasn't the even if we didn't know the whole story about, you know, her death, being revived in the human body, being raised from a child, if we didn't know all that shit, it's like, come on. The dude's sneaking out to his younger fucking person he has hidden on the island, and you think he's not trying to get some? Even if there was no, like, witch-related supernatural shit whatsoever, you think he would not be trying to get some? Come on. Man's trying to get some. Don't play me. I see what this man's trying to do. He's trying to get some.
それでどうしたの？それから何の話を？
私の自己紹介をしたので、逆に彼女、そうしたら急に雰囲気が落ち込んでしまったの。
Tell me about yourself. Who am I?
なんていうのか、とても気だるそうな寂しさ。私が初めて彼女の顔を見た時に浮かべていたのと同じ表情。
まあ秘密の愛人だからな。好き勝手に歩かれてお袋に見つかっ、きっと軟禁に近い状態だったろう。綺麗なドレスに綺麗な屋敷や庭があってもさぞや窮屈な思いをしてたんだろうぜ。そりゃ苦労もあったろうさ。それで
彼女はきっと何か悩みがあった。それを私に話したところで、私もとても悲しかったのを覚えてる。私と一緒にいることさえ忘れ、遠くをぼんやり見なが
I
ら
wish I could forget you're even here.
ずっと私はきっと出現してしまったに違いないと思ったんだけど、謝罪の言葉すらも口にしていいような雰囲気じゃなくて、だから私も彼女が私と一緒にいることを思い出してくれるまで
I wish you would remain silent until I remembered you were
黙
there.
ってた。
And then she muttered unexpectedly.
柵の向こうには本当に狼などおらぬのか？
はい、狼なんて動物園でも見たことないです。
動物園とは何か？
ああ、いろんな動物が飼われているところです。象とかキリンとかパンダとか珍しい動物が。
Oh.
動物園に狼はいないのか？なら怖くないかもしれんな。狼がいたとしても動物はみんな檻に入ってますから安全だから、安心して見学できるんですよ。
The mighty witch of the forest was apparently terrified of wolves. I remember it looked pretty funny to me at the time.
それはわらわとどう違う？
Holy shit. She didn't know about zoos. I explained how fun zoos could be. It was very difficult for a person like her, who had never visited one, to understand. I mean, yeah, you're essentially explaining to an animal, like, what's so fun about a zoo. Imagine, like, telling, like, an animal at the zoo what's so good about the zoo, and, like, the animal being able to, you know, conversate with you. Imagine you could talk to animals, and there's, like, some animals chilling at the zoo, and you're trying to explain what's so cool about it. Of course, the animal's gonna be like, what are you talking about? This place fucking sucks. On the contrary, as I explained it to her, her expression grew increasingly dismal. She couldn't see the difference. Apparently, even though she lived in an elegant mansion that was surrounded by a high fence and seemed to lack for nothing, she couldn't see how she was any different from animals shut up in cages.
わらわは何者な、皆はわらわのことをベアトリーチェと呼ぶ。それは確かにそなたの言うように偉大な魔女の名前らしい。しかしわらわには魔法など何も使えん。わらわはその魔女の魂をこの身に封じられているだけなのだ。
There's definitely something odd about her. Beyond just being cut off from the world, it seems she truly believed that magic exists. I think she talked about lots of weird things, but I don't remember the details. All I thought was that this might be a person to be pitied. She was unable to leave this mansion of her own free will, a prisoner without even realizing it. And she didn't know anything about the outside world to even understand who she was. She probably vaguely realized that she was to be pitied. But since she didn't know anything, she seemed incapable of recognizing her own unhappiness. Long ago, when I told Naesan that I felt sorry for a bird in a cage, she said this: "A bird that only knows about the inside of the cage doesn't long for the outside." But this wasn't a bird. She really was a person. Even if she'd never been outside the cage, she understood that there was more to the world. So, I invited her.
柵
Oh?
の外へ出てみますか。
Oh? Rosa freed the witch! Oh shit.
本当に狼はいない。
Wait, but you're certain about the wolves, right?
いない
I'm
です
gonna
よ。
need you. I'm gonna need you to be 100% certain with me on that one.
絶対平気ですから。出たいぞ。だがいつも門は閉まっている。私が入ってきたところがあります。くぐり抜けられる隙間があるんです。そこを抜ければ外の世界があるのか。はい。狼は
Okay, but for real, no wolves? You're not fucking with me.
はい、来ませんよ。
I only planned on inviting her to go on a short walk, but she kept looking over her shoulder at the mansion, as though she was seriously worrying over the decision. Then I learned what she was preparing herself for. Yeah, she wasn't coming back. Yeah.
もうここは外へ出たい。そしてわらわが何者でこの世界はどうなっていてわらわは何のために生まれてきたのかを知りたい。
I didn't know what her life had been like before then. It was probably something she couldn't express easily. If it was harsh, she just had to say she wanted to escape. If it was sweet, she just had to say she'd stay. For example, maybe it was like how a hot fireplace on a winter day makes the air get thicker and thicker, giving you a headache. Even though you know you shouldn't keep things the way they are, you still need courage to open the window and be tormented by the cold wind. She was starting to realize that she couldn't stay there forever. She was starting to realize that she had to go outside someday. But since she didn't know about the outside world, she must have needed courage to take that unspeakable first step outside. And despite that, she had made her decision. She'd voiced her decision to go outside, a decision she was probably making for the first time in her life. I hesitated for a moment. Father had decided that she should live here. She was like Father's beloved bird in a cage. If I just let her escape, Father might scold me harshly.
見たい。え、何を？動物園が見たいのだ。
Wow! Look at that face. That's fucking cute as hell. I was just a little surprised when she finally gave me a gentle smile. Could that have been a farsightedness brought about by her decision to venture out from her cage? It was a smile so gentle I couldn't imagine that it had come from that once dark face.
そなたと話すと
Speaking of that dark face, she goes into her fucking smug smile like,
わらわは学校なるものもわからぬし、動物園も知らぬ、映画館も知らぬ、遊園地も知らぬ。そしてそれを知りたいと心の底から思う。そなたはわらわをそこへ連れて行ってくれるのか？
I'm curious what causes her, like... Eventually she has a shift, you know? That... I don't know, she said she has the, like she said she has the soul of the witch inside of her. So, I'm guessing... I don't know. I'm not gonna say anything just yet. I was nervous about how I could keep it a secret from Father. But her face looked so happy, so I went along with her and nodded. But she seemed not to notice the meaning behind my vague smile. She seemed to believe that I'd really take her to all those places. She was pure and genuine. She'd probably never been tricked by anyone. No, maybe it's better not to say that she'd never learned how to doubt. Her smile was somehow radiant and yet pathetic. I wanted to find a way to grant her modest wish.
わらわは
Aww.
もうベアトリーチェは嫌だ。わらわが何者なのか。ベアトリーチェではない。新しい人間を始めたい。だからここから連れ出してほしい。もう紅茶もいらぬ。ドレスもいらぬ。金蔵とも二度と会わぬ。ここよりわらわを連れ出し、ローザ。
However, the responsibility is one that a child like me couldn't hope to fully bear. Still, when I saw her serious gaze, along with that brilliant smile that made it look as though a possessing spirit had left her, I could feel a little courage start to rise up inside me. This was definitely something that would get me into a lot of trouble. And yet, it was definitely the right thing to do. I don't know how it'll turn out, but I'll take her away from here. Of course, I won't be able to talk to Father, and not Mother either. Should I talk to Oni-sama or One-sama? No. What about that reliable Genji-san? Or, that's right, what about Kumasawa-san, to whom I can always talk when I'm in trouble? I'm sure they'll be able to do something. Anyway, for now, I'll take her out of here. This was already a place she didn't want to be. So I took her to the crack in the fence and let her outside. She was all nervous, checking to make sure there were no wolves around. Once that fear disappeared, even just walking around this dense forest seemed to be fun somehow. Every time she'd found something, she'd ask me about it. And they were all really trivial things. What's that? What's that flower? What's that leaf? And that sound? And that smell? It really was like the inside of that fence had been her entire world. So now that she traveled beyond the limits of her world, it's strange. When I first saw her, I really thought she was the witch herself, relaxing inside that witch's mansion. But now it was different. Or actually, the complete opposite. She'd left a world she believed to be finite, and was overjoyed at the realization that the world was endless, something she'd never thought of before. So everything she saw was new. It was almost as though she was the one who had been thrown into a fairy tale. If she was Alice, then I felt almost like a rabbit holding a watch. To her, it was probably a really fun walk, filled to the brim with excitement. But I was actually at a loss of what to do. After all, I walked randomly to get there. Of course, I didn't know the way back to our mansion. There were no lights in the forest, and I hadn't brought a flashlight. I realized it would be terrible if it got dark while we were still like this, and grew impatient. She was too innocent, and apparently she couldn't understand at all how frightening it would be to face the night inside the forest. But I was the one who brought her outside. I had to take responsibility somehow and resolve the situation. So I had a thought. Let's go out to the ocean for now. If we then follow the beach around, we should eventually make it back to the mansion. However, that was much more of a problem than I'd imagined. I didn't have a map or a compass. There was no way I could walk in a straight line through an uncultivated forest, and I immediately lost my sense of direction. Great. I already had no clue which trail I had come by, and was completely lost. At this rate, night would definitely fall before I had a clue where to walk. This was no time to cry. After all, that woman falling behind me was so innocent and having so much fun. So I definitely had to lead the way through this forest. For the sake of her smile as well. Gritting my teeth so that she didn't see me looking troubled, I pushed my way through the woods, advancing down a path that wasn't a path. Then, after going through various troubles, I fortunately managed to reach the ocean. At that time, I still didn't even have a clue where I was on the island. For the time being, I was just a little reassured. Realizing that if I just went around this way, I would surely be able to return to the mansion. However, though I had reached the ocean, we were at the top of a rock cliff. Oh god. The beach was far below us. I was tired from walking around the forest for so long, so I figured that in an open area, even a rocky beach, it would probably be much easier to walk in. So I suggested that we go down that rocky cliff somehow. Great. It looks pretty dangerous, but I figured there was no other way. However, Beatrice agreed to my plan without any doubts. Yes, she trusted you. She trusted you. She's like, oh, Rosa says we can go down the cliff. Okay, we're going down the cliff. And you let her die. That one put full faith in you. Alright. You were like, how about we just scale down the cliff? And she's like, okay, yeah. Cliff time. Whee! I can already see where this is going. Even though she was probably older than me, she meekly obeyed, almost as though she were some kind of chick who thought I was her mother. I searched to see if there was some part of the cliff I'd be able to get down. Then I found a place where the cliff had fallen over and made a slope. It looked a little dangerous, but if I went down using both hands and both legs, like I was crawling, I thought it'd probably be okay.
ここを降りましょう。気をつけないと危ないけど、とにかく海岸に降りて、あとは沿って歩けば、もう迷わずに済むと思うの。
ローザがそうするのならそうしようぞ。わらわは迷うとやらも楽しいぞ。とても愉快だ。
She really had no sense of danger. There was probably no doubt that she lived a life without discomfort. Even though she knew it would get dark when night fell, she couldn't imagine how dangerous the inside of a forest could be without a light. Furthermore, it seemed that she couldn't grasp at all how dangerous it might be if she fell from the cliff. I warned her repeatedly to be careful. I cautiously examined our potential route down. It seemed to be quite a long drop. I think it might have been about 10 meters down. Oof. If you looked at it from the bottom up, it would probably have looked shorter than the roof of the mansion. But looking from the top, it felt almost like staring down from the observation room on Tokyo Tower. Beatrice still appeared to be completely without fear. Felt as though she had never been taught that high places were dangerous. No, maybe she believed that she was a witch, and that she could fly, so there wasn't any need to worry.
気をつけてくださいね。結構高いから。
気をつけるぞ。下へ降りたら海があるな。そこに水族館があるのか。
いえ、この島には水族館はないで。でも、海にはたくさんの魚がいると思います。
そうか。魚はいるのか。そなたが話してくれた、
Yes, so many penguins.
クジラとかイルカとかペンギンとかはいるのか。
いえ、そういうのは水族館に行かないといない。水族館は島を出ないとないですよ。
そうなのか。だが楽しみだ。クジラとはどんな魚なのか。
Big. They are big fish.
すっごく大きな魚で、それで潮を吹いたりします。
ならばイルカは？
頭のいい魚で、とても頭が良くて芸とかを。
ならばペンギンはどうなのか。
ペンギン。
あれ、これは鳥類だっけ？
なんだ、水族館なのにさっきから魚が出てこんぞ。
まあその魚だけでなく いろいろな海の生き物がいっぱいいるんですよ。
ほほう、それはとても楽しみだ。
Yep. She let out what might have been a funny, rushed and short cry. No, it was probably a scream. It came right out of the blue. Her body separated from the cliff and silently fell. I immediately wanted to say something to her. I wanted to say, didn't I tell you to be more careful? It was the thought of a child. It was how a child immediately gets mad when something bad happens, trying to find an excuse to show it wasn't their fault. Of course I said it out loud. Are you okay? Didn't I warn you over and over? There was no response. Yup.